There's a lyrical cinematic quality even to the nicknames given to New Orleans. Some call it simply prettily Nola, which more prosaically stands for New Orleans, Louisiana. Others refer to it as the Big Easy, such a terrific name imbued with such personality. It implies it's languorous if not lazy, that anything goes, that if it doesn't, you can find a tune to make you feel like it does. There's mystery associated with it too, the suggestion that here still waters run very, very deep. And they do, whether that impressive sweep of the Mississippi River that it sits on, slow and steady, or its hidden pockets deep in the country. In the city itself, the buildings beautiful, old and graceful, the scent of flower boxes that fills the air, there's a song on every corner. And a bite on every other. This was a place I'd always wanted to visit. I'd read books about it, some about the charms, some said deep in the swamps, some well, and rice. Forgive me, but who doesn't love a good vampire? The thing is, New Orleans is like no other place in the world. Creole, which here means a potent, unique blend of Spanish, French, African, and indigenous, has led to architecture that's all its own. Wander around the French Quarter with its wrought iron, with its pretty colors, with its little lanes, with the suggestion that every balcony bears a story, tragic naturally, and get lost in a world that here anyway doesn't feel so very long ago. And then of course there's the food, unique entirely to these streets and the country that surrounds it. Creole, another of those magic words, particularly as pertains to cuisine. Mark Twain famously said that New Orleans food is as delicious as the less criminal forms of sin. He weren't wrong, and really the first illustrious example sits right here at Café du Monde. Café du Monde has held its spot on Decatur Street from 1862. That's 150 years. And look at those crowds. More, would you believe that they're all here to eat just one thing? One big, beautiful breakfast thing specific to the city.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Beignets,
yes.
the French pastries, and mix those and have them along with our café au lait, our coffee mixed with chicory.
And to have them at such an iconic, enduring place is not such a big deal, apparently.
Yes.
Well, not New Orleans. New Orleans, you got to be 100 years before you consider it a real restaurant.
Well, Café au lait and Beignets sound pretty good. I can promise they smell even better. But first, I'm meeting Liz Williams of the Southern Food and Beverage Museum. She's here to give me the backstory, though unsurprisingly here it comes with a background score.
Is there a minute that there isn't someone playing somewhere in the city?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. And I remember even as a child, I used to think that that happened everywhere.
Yeah.
And when I would go visit someone, I'd say, well, why is it so quiet here?
Quiet here's not a concern. Breakfast is, and beignets make the perfect one. And here they are. They look good. They look dangerous.
Calorie consciousness is an alien concept to you.
Exactly right. We believe more is more.
As ways to live by go, that's sound philosophy. They're not quite donuts, but close. Essentially, they're deep-fried dough balls, dense, moist, delicious, and traditionally served drowning in a blizzard of powdered sugar. They're amazing.
It's phenomenal. It's actually nicer than a donut.
And it's not as sweet.
Rare thing where you've read so much about a place, you've dreamt so much about a place, and you come here and everything is as good as you imagined, arguably better, and it's very hard for expectations to be met when they're that high, but everything, it feels, I mean, it's just like, where the hell have Beignets been my whole life? And I knew they were going to be this good. I knew it, like I deep down, I knew it.
And by the way, the coffee too tells the tale. Here it's made with chicory and is served au lait with milk.
Coffee and chicory. Oh, it's nice.
It is so nice.
Yes.
And that's sugarless.
Yes. This has such a smoothness to it.
Yes.
Sugar.
You really don't. I'm stealing another sip. Sorry.
Of course.
And that's what's remarkable here. Things that may seem conventional but actually speak to the extraordinary assimilation that has led to Creole food.
Food of New Orleans is based on 3 continents: America, the Western Hemisphere, and Europe, and it's based on Africa. And so this really represents Europe because there was no wheat in the New World, and there was corn. So when the French were here, they imported flour, so flour was very precious. And so these little things that were just flour were just a wonderful treat.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why it's so close to our hearts.
You know, there are many places in the world where you've had invaders, you've had conquerors, you've had indentured labor coming in, all of which have contributed to food, right? New Orleans is not alone in that. What New Orleans seems to be alone in, though, is that all those elements have melded completely.
I was asking myself that exact same question. Why is it that these same elements have come together in other places and only dishes emerged, not a complete cuisine? And I would say we have a cuisine because at every level of society, whether it's a white tablecloth restaurant or a place like this, everyone eats the same thing. So it's a true cuisine. And why is that? It was partially because everyone who came here was accepting that they were here. And so you said to the Native Americans as you came here, what are you eating? Where do I find the food? Because it's French food now. And as other people came, like as the enslaved Africans came and whatever was here is what, you know, you just began to accept everything that was here. And that's how it merged together.
I'm just one place in, one plate in, and I'm already blown away. This is, by any standard, by any account, a very special city.
Like you could make up New Orleans and no one would believe you if it didn't exist, right?
It's true. Like the music everywhere, this is actually really our culture.
Yeah.
We don't do it for tourists.
Yes.
We do it because we do it.
Yeah.
And what they do is enjoy their city. So once we're done, Liz takes me to a museum with a difference.
A museum dedicated to food and drink and the culture of food and drink.
Wow, sounds like my kind of museum.
Imagine a museum that I want to visit, one that's built around, as the name suggests, Southern food and beverages. Its acronym is, all too appropriately, SOFAB. Works out nicely. There are a lot of states covered here, but naturally the one I was interested in was Louisiana. And it's like a candy store, a cheerful, happy candy store of the old, the unusual, the antique, the delightful.
That is a very old praline box, and so it's made in the shape of a cotton bale. New Orleans was often the place that cotton shipped out of because of the port.
And that's just the start. It's the history of the state told through food and its many trappings. Because that's the point. New Orleanians consider their food worth celebrating and well worth chronicling.
So
nectar soda?
Nectar soda was invented here, and it is a special flavor that is identified with the city.
What exactly did they use nectar soda with? I suspect.
This is an old snowball machine.
Oh, look at this, an old coffee jars, coffee and chicory.
This made of cardboard, so that's very old.
And it's proof once again that here cuisine marches hand in hand with history. And that's lovely because it also means that in a few years there could be new, equally relevant additions to this display.
I really love the fact that it is alive and that new immigrants come all the time and they bring new ideas, new flavors, new ways of doing things. And for example, the people from Mexico and Latin America came post-Hurricane Katrina, and they started to bring their flavors here. So now we have oyster tacos. You don't have oyster tacos in Mexico, but we have oyster tacos here.
How lovely.
And so I love that.
Too, and it must be said, I think oysters could be just the thing. I say goodbye to the delightful Liz, and with my appetite well whetted, head to the historic Acme Oyster House. How historic? Look at that line outside. I have to navigate deftly to get in because you see Acme has been holding this spot since 1910. That's 105 years if you're doing the math. They've been shucking ever since by serving, to quote them, food so good at prices so low that here the Great Depression wasn't all that depressed. Now the thing is, in New Orleans, amongst the many ways to have your oysters are fresh shucked, served on ice, or charbroiled. It's a local thing. Though if that grill is anything to go by, it's a thing I am so on board with. I'll start with them, I think, since they're brand new to me. They're grilled with garlic butter, lots of it, breadcrumbs, lots of them, and parmesan, even more. Take a bite and be transported. It's the taste of the sea woven through with buttery, cheesy, garlic-soaked goodness.
Okay, so there's this wonderful smokiness to this. I mean, this city is a city that knows how to use its smoke. It's buttery, garlicky, little bit of cheese. It is gorgeous. I want to say clever things, but all I can think of is, please sir, I want some more.
And I get more too. These serve differently, ice cold, raw and on the half shell. And what I didn't realize is how huge they are. Massive oysters, which usually means they're strong, a little more substantial than usual. But then I try one and realize that they are in fact gentle, mild and utterly, utterly gorgeous.
I sort of thought they'd be like really funky, slightly tough because of their size, you know. In a lot of cases, size isn't everything, but turns out here it is.
I'm then joined by Master Shucker Mike Hollywood Broadway. Mike probably works his way through about 1,000 oysters a day, and there's little about these gems that he doesn't know.
Well, these are what's called Louisiana hard-shell oysters. They're coming out of the Bay Area of the Gulf of Mexico.
Nice.
And they're raised in what's called brackish water, a mixture of salt water and fresh water. They give it a sweet taste, less salty.
Oh, wow.
And the oysters are already very, very big.
I'll say they're amazing. I'm taking a break. Yes, there's more on the other side, but for me, perhaps with the perfect company, yet another plate.